Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
going. How are you?
Same, same thing. Going. We had a total shift in our week, so I'm not normally working a lot on Tuesday, but tonight I've got a whole lot of meetings, so it's good. Kind of just different day.
Yeah, for sure. So shift in the normal routine.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So tell me how you're feeling. Are you stressed? Are you worried? I know we talked about a little bit through text and you're like a little bit anxious and nervous. Is that feeling better or are you still feeling like nervous?
I mean, I'm still a little like nervous about it, but I'm watching the videos. So like I feel like that's like the things that I do less of, which is more VitaFlex, right? Like that's the area that I feel a little more like about. That stuff's like, okay, yeah, yeah. Like I know how to do that. Like I think it's just making sure in my brain, I feel like there's so many things to articulate during the demo that I just don't want to miss anything and then, not pass or something.
Yeah, totally understandable. Um, what I'll say is as long as you have your handbook, um, that section in there, it starts on I want to say page 44. If you read 44 through 44 through 57, then you know everything that I will be expecting of you. So that whole section in the handbook is absolutely the exam. Everything is word for word. It asks me the same questions as it does in this book as on the exam. So it's like as long as you have those things on your checklist to say and to do, and a lot of it's reading the notes. You don't have to go off and do anything extra crazy. Um, but what I did was I just had this book out the whole time when I did my exam. So that's one of the things I can do. And that way, like each one I just say, okay, I just did that. I'm gonna move on. Just did that. And it's okay if it looks segmented like that. Um, it's not like a full it's a practical skills checklist. It's not you're not presenting it in front of anybody that needs a full-on, demonstration that's fluid and everything. It's a very much a skills check. So
Okay.
don't feel like you can't use your handbook to guide you for that. Um, yeah. So I would say this, you read this, right?
Yeah. And I've been like going back into it. Like I keep going back, like when I'm doing reading through certain sections, like, okay, yeah, yeah. If I read this page, this should check off these things
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. And the only really big thing that's not like that in the notes, and I created a specific sheet, is the raindrop history. So I've created that. I posted that in the group. You can read that before you get into the raindrop notes. So it covers like all the history, the details, who made it, all that kind of stuff. It will be easier to do. And I also have a sheet that I'm going to send you. Um, it's like a recap of this call, and you'll see
Okay.
the link for that. You can read that through as well. It's just one and a quarter pages of raindrop history. So that's the only other thing that I really have a big tip on is just read through your notes. Don't overthink it. It's not supposed to be scary. It's just supposed to, check you off and make sure you're good. And ultimately, if you have a question, you can always ask me. Like the day of before the exam, before we start, you can ask me. If you ask me a question during the exam, I'll say, I don't know. Is that the answer? I can't say yes or no, but you can always pause and say, okay, I'm going to go look at my book because it's open book, open note. If you have questions, all your books and stuff are right there anyway.
Okay. For sure. Yeah. I just feel like it's just like, it's so much information. That's
Yeah.
where I think I'm like hung up on. And I have a busy work week. So that's making me feel like, ooh, but it's fine. Tomorrow I have the afternoon off. So I have more time to just like dedicate solely to this instead of like today I was watching the VitaFlex video back like in between clients. Like
Okay.
I would just do like snippets so I could just like soak in a little more of it a little bit at a time. So tomorrow I should be able to watch it in its entirety, like
Okay.
in one setting again. I think that will feel better as well too.
Good. Okay. And you do have the, application filled out completely?
Yeah, well, actually, I just printed it off when I
Okay,
just got home. So it's
okay.
not filled out all the way, but I can send you a picture of it later today.
Yeah, I definitely wanna have that by tonight for sure, just to be sure, otherwise, um, I don't want you to show up and then not be prepared, so reading through that, signing it, um, everything like that ensures that you're gonna be there, you know what I mean? So, um, I talked to Tracy yesterday, she's good, she's feeling excited about it, also nervous, so we talked through some things, but ultimately, it's gonna be great, and there's very, very few people that I've had to kind of walk through retaking it or, let them know about major issues, and those are people who I know just didn't prepare. And or they told me flat out, "Oh, I didn't even read that part," or they checked off the checklist and it wasn't actually they didn't actually do those things. So, I think you're strong in this, you've taken it, you've done the practices, you've done the practice teaching sets. How did those go?
I mean, fine. Like, I feel like the thing with that is like people who are learning from you don't know all of the things. So if I missed something, they're not like, if I've skipped something or I didn't articulate it right where other people don't know. So I think that's the nervous part for me is like, what if I did miss something?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't like the teaching part of it isn't necessarily what I want to do.
Yeah.
So in those, I did my best and like went through my notes and explained and answered as I could. And if I didn't know, I went to a book, like same as I will the day of. It's just that like, oh, did I like miss something? I'm just having like self-doubt, I guess.
Oh, you're so great at this. So I don't feel like you have anything to worry about, honestly. I feel like let me just show you how like give you another little brief demo of how you should do it. Um
Okay.
I can walk you through it and we'll as I go through it, just whatever questions come up, um let me know because this will be a good refresher.
Okay.
Okay. So when you show up, you are going to get your massage table ready. You are not going to put any sheets on yet because you are going to do Vitaflexing first, and we don't have sheets on when we're doing that part because it gets all wadded up. Um, you're going to show me how to measure your massage table, make sure it's measured properly. Um, you're also going to show me that your nails are filed. You're going to practice Vitaflex on my arm just to be sure that they're feeling good, that's part of the exam. And then you're going to basically just say, "Hi, my name is Robyn. I'm going to be sharing today about Vitaflex." And then after I teach you the history, I'm going to show you how to do the 13 different techniques. And what you're going to do is basically open up the notes um, or have them available. And you're just going to read from the very beginning. So you can say, these are the care handout notes. You get them in class. And you're going to read down all of page 1 word for word. Okay?
Hmm.
Don't have to add anything extra, just read it word for word. Say number 1, the definition. Vitaflex is a term coined by Stanley Burroughs, and then continue. The thing that changes about the notes order is down when you get to number 5. So at number 5, you are then going to be talking about anatomy. So it says, we are going to, it says, familiarize yourself with the bodily locations of your major organs. So number 5 is your teaching of the anatomy to me as like I'm a student. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to be standing, you're going to show me on the body where all of the things in number 5 are. Okay. I will stand up with you. I'll point to them with you because then I know that you've done them. And then you're going to relate the last sentence in number 5. It says, relate each of these to the foot and hand charts on page 7 and 8. So that's your clue to turn to page 7 and 8. Then you don't even go to page 2, you just go straight to page 7 and 8. So you say, we just learned the body parts on our body. Now we're going to look at reflexology and see how our body relates to our feet. And on this chart, you're going to say every single body part on this chart. You don't have to go through this box. You can just point out and say, this is a box that relates to the points with which oils you might want to use for that. You don't have to read them all out. You do need to read everybody's body organ on there. Don't forget the ovaries and testes down here. on the feet. Then you're going to turn the page, do the same thing for the hands. If somebody doesn't have hands, you can just say, for some reason, if somebody would not want to receive their VitaFlexing on the feet, you could easily do it on their hands. This might be because they are ticklish or self-conscious, or maybe they have an infection on their foot. Some people have warts and they're very self-conscious of it, or they're amputated, and you could use this instead, and it would be great. So just read through every single thing on that page. And then the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to say, on page 9, you're going to talk about how every organ system, it comes from a nerve. It's innervated from a nerve. And you're just going to read down this chart. We have 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, 2 to 3 coccyx vertebrae. And then you're going to go in and you're going to read every single body system or organ that innervates with those nerves. Okay? You're just showing me the charts. And then the last thing that you're going to do is you're just going to say, okay, let's go further into these body systems and make sure we know every single thing about these body systems. And you're going to read it all the way through. And you're just going to read, talk about it's an anatomy book. So you're going to show me which anatomy book you have. This is a great anatomy book to have with you in case you are confused, or maybe your clients are confused. But your notes also have a little breakdown of what the body systems are, so you know where to go with that. The page 11, the last page of the notes, is a further resource that you do not have to read word for word, but you could say if your body is and you can say that if your body is going through something, it might be related to your spine. So let's figure out which of these are connected more deeply to the nervous system. Okay. So again, not word for word here. You can just read, you have 12 cranial nerves. We have 7 cervical vertebrae. We have the 5 thoracic vertebrae, 4 lumbar, 5 sacral, and the coccyx. Okay. That's all. That one is a lot of extras talking that we don't really need to go into. Okay. So then after that's done, you're back to page 1. And you can basically say, okay, we've gone through all of the anatomical stuff that we need to know before we do the techniques. Now we get to go do the techniques. And then you're just going to turn straight to page 2. And you're going to talk about the maneuver. We want to know anatomy before we know the maneuver, so we're not getting confused. So now you just read the page all the way through. Don't have to add anything extra. Once you get to number 4, you are talking about where to apply them. And then right after that, it goes straight into the VitaFlex technique. And you just read bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. You just go all the way through. For these, you're going to stop each time before you show me it, you're going to read the paragraph about it. Okay. So the first one, the very first thing you do. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is the spinal points on the feet. Let me tell you about it first. We are going to VitaFlex along the spinal reflex points of each foot. We will look at the chart to show you where that's at in a minute. From the heel of the foot to the end of the big toe. This covers the coccyx to the brain. Start with the right foot and VitaFlex up the foot 3 times and then repeat on the left foot. So I'm just reading through it, and then you're going to show me exactly what you just read. So you're going to start with the right foot, do it 3 times, perfectly up the spine on that foot, and then you're going to go to the left foot, do it 3 times, and that one's done. Check mark. You get to be done with that one. Then you go and do the next one. Read it and then do it. Okay? Does that make sense? And
Yes, it does.
through the whole entire thing. That's the whole rest of the exam. So you have the spine, you have the soles of the feet, the base of the skull. That one is just spoken about. You don't even have to show that one. Okay. Then you also have to make sure you talk about the oils. So for like number 4 under VitaFlex for the colon, make sure you mention the properties of these oils. Okay. So I might ask you a question like, what oil would we use for this? You want to know pretty well these oils. Okay. Same thing for respiratory, the sinuses, you just go all the way through, heart pump. Actually, I skipped the page, sorry. Head and brain, ear, the heart pump, lymphatic, and the hip atlas. So once you get to the hip atlas, you're basically done. And you can say, all right, so we finished up all of our techniques. That's all for VitaFlex. And then we stop the clock. We're done. Okay. So
Yep.
it seems like a lot, but ultimately it's all right there in the notes. You just need to know and be confident that you can just feel good and read through it um and just be you. You're awesome. So just got to do you, you know?
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. So then the other thing I want to make sure you have is you have your Vitaflex DVD, you have your book, and you have your essential oil desk reference, and you have an anatomy book, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then you have your statistical validation book
Hmm.
and your raindrop DVD.
Hmm.
Good. You have all your oils. You don't need your oils for Vitaflex, just the one oil for ears. You're gonna bring sheets and a table, towels, measuring tools for the spine. Um, I think that's all on that. Oh, you have your nails nice and filed. Um, yeah, I think that's it. Let me check my list. Okay.
Okay.
Um, table sheets, oil person. Yep. And then she said the location's at the Holiday Inn, correct? Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, so it seems like you just need to have your quiet time, do your thing, feel
Yeah.
prepared. Do you want me to
Yeah.
go
Like,
over the same thing for raindrop or do you want to ask any questions?
sure. If you want to roll through it with raindrop too, I'll just like make sure nothing pops in that I have questions on. I don't think I have questions about Vitaflex. It's just, it's the lesser common things that I use where
Yeah,
like raindrop is the thing I do, so it's there, but it's not like where raindrop I feel like I did a raindrop this morning
perfect. Yeah.
for somebody. So like it feels very like I feel good with that.
Awesome. Okay, so I will show you really quickly. I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the sheet that I would recommend printing off and just reading from, otherwise, so that you don't have to go in your book and read from it.
Okay.
Why can I not click on it to open? There. So I click the box. So this is basically just the same exact words for the essential oil desk reference. And this gives you the history that will answer all the questions on the exam about the history of raindrop and who created it, why it was created, why we call it raindrop, all of that stuff. So if you start your thing, hi, I'm Robyn. Today we're going to talk about raindrop. And then you read this first. And then you go word for word or like straight through the notes again on here. It will make a lot more sense than having to go back and talk about the history later because there is no introduction page like we have with Vitaflex. So that's why I created this for my return demo students. So read that through, and then you can say this little blurb up here, and then you can read through the oils. Okay. Um, then you want to make sure that you talk about the before you get into the technique, you want to talk about the charts and stuff. Okay. So, and you want to talk about the 11 points to mention in your informed consent. So you're going to do the history, the oils, then you're going to say, okay, before everyone has one, you want to do an informed consent. And part of that is the 11 points to mention. So you're going to read through that entire list of the 11 points to mention. You're also going to talk about how David's book, Statistical Validation, is also a consent because people are learning about raindrop with that book. Once you turn the page from the informed consent, you go through those 3 charts and you just mention, today we're going to be vitaflexing along the spine. Okay. You don't have to go through it again. You just mention where you're vitaflexing. You can say if someone is amputated or doesn't want to be on their feet, you can vitaflex the hand for raindrop right there. And then you're going to just talk about how if someone has redness on their back, you might want to have this chart out so that they can see, okay, the redness was right up in the C1 through 3 area. You might have a desire to look into detoxing for these organs. things like that. So it's nice to know because this is the practical application of this chart for the back. Okay. So that's nice and simple. Just you don't have to go through it again. You can just say, if you see redness, we might know better where it's from by looking at this spinal chart. Okay. Same thing with the nerve connections in brain, nerve connections from brain and spine. You don't have to go through this at all. You can just say, if we need more info on the spine, here's another chart about it. And then the last thing you're going to say, once you're really good at raindrop and you're going through it, you can use this quick guide instead of the long version. And now we're going to go through the long version and go through the detailed technique for the full raindrop. And then you just start again on page 2. You now have your client ready to get on the table. So we read all the way down. Note the preliminary, step 1, read it and then do it. Always read it and then do it. So I know that you're able to fully understand what you're doing. Because sometimes if you don't read it, you get caught up in the rhythm. That's the only thing that's really different about being in the flow of doing a raindrop versus reading it. We really want to pause because it's that demonstration part that we want to have in there too. So, yeah, that's really the main encouraging point I have for that. Okay, so
So also, like, as I'm doing that, like, just for example, like allergies and sensitivities. So I'm saying I'm reading this and then look at Tracy and ask her.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
just
yep,
clarifying.
perfect, yep. Yes, good question. So allergies. Um, uh, perfect. Um, yeah. So ultimately, once you, and I don't know if you have time to practice this kind of like with your husband or anything, where he's just kind of there with you and you're kind of like talking to the mirror or something. Even just doing some segmental parts, like even just the introduction part, and then and just like being in the mindset that you're just practicing in front of me. That helped me a lot when I was getting ready to go. I would have my 4-year-old be my demonstrator. And so I was like kind of talking to my husband as he was like the person who I was testing with, and then my kid was there. And I know it's not the same and you're not going to be nervous at home, but it does get you in the mindset, okay, I have to be, holding this stuff. I have to have it here with me. I have to have good body language and just feel comfortable trying to get into that comfortable mode. So, like I said, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be fine too. It's like being in a different space and like all the things, right? Like I'm comfortable in my massage room. So like that's something I was going to ask about too. So all of my oils are in like a wooden box,
Okay.
which they're on a like a thing, like I move it around. So
Sure.
when I come, I wasn't gonna like bring the whole cart.
Yeah.
So like do you have a suggestion of like what to do with the oil bottles for that?
Yeah. So what I can do is I have like a little like a case, like the cases we used in class. I can bring one
Yeah.
of those for you if you would like that. Um,
Okay.
and you can just have it on the table by you, or the room that you guys will be in, it probably, you're probably gonna have stuff that you can set it on, or like you can set it on the bed. I will just squeeze myself in wherever I can. You guys can just set up the table how you feel comfortable. Um, but the last time I was there, there was enough room. It had like a little couch area, and there was enough room where the table was far enough over and she was able to use not only like the side dresser, but then she would keep it on the foot area when she was doing the feet. So
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't have you bring any like rolling carts or anything because it's just too cramped. It's
Yeah, well, and that's what I was thinking, but then I was like, how am I gonna have all these oils like near where I need to be?
yeah,
Because I don't have like the soft case like you have, where
yeah,
like you could even set it even right next to your client. The
yeah,
box is like that wouldn't work for what I have. So
yeah. Those are pretty nice. The one thing that I would recommend is if you don't want to use the case, you could even just put them on the dresser, like put a towel down and put them on the dresser and so they're open so you can see them more easily. I don't want the case to be something that you like worry over and fidget over if it's not easy for you, but I will bring one and you can try it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works if you do, and if for some reason you forget, I will make whatever the situation is work. Like,
Yeah, I'll put it on my list right now.
I'm also trying not to let things like that like have me in a like
Yeah.
that's not the important part of it, I guess. Like it's the rest of this that's really important. So not getting hung up on like where I'm setting the oils.
But that's if that's part of your routine and it changes, then that's hard too because you're used to it being comfortable. So I totally get it. Totally
Yeah.
get it. 1 second, my husband's about to leave. 1 second.
Yeah.
Hey, you leaving? All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Gotta say bye to my babies. Okay. All right. So bring a copy of your own consent form so that I can see what you've been giving to your people. Um, I feel like as long as you're um, good with other stuff, when you practice tomorrow, if you need me to go over anything or check anything, please feel free to reach out. This isn't the only time we can talk this week. I always have flexibility when it comes to reaching out for students. So please don't hesitate, especially if something is just like, oh, I don't remember, I don't know what to do, or you're just anxious about it. It doesn't bother me. So reach out.
Okay. Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's no problem. If for some reason, um, you're feeling like things are changing, or if you feel like it's not gonna work out, just try and let me know as soon as possible and let Tracy know because I can, if you can't make it or something, then I can try and find a student to sit in for her. I told her the same thing, just if for some reason it doesn't work out, I can probably get someone to sit in for one of you, but it sounds like both of you guys are really gonna be fine. The only issue is when people are coming to do these flip-flop ones, it affects the other person because they don't have a demo person if you can't make it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And Tracy and I have stayed in contact too. Like we've been checking in with each other and like
yeah,
conversing about the things too. So, and I think we both are ready to just like, we're ready to do this part. So I
yeah,
think we'll both be there unless unforeseen things,
yeah,
would arise or whatever. But,
yeah,
and,
it'll be good.
you got my money, right? Like I Venmoed you earlier.
Oh, I didn't see it. Let me check. All of my Facebook, everything shut down on me today. Like everything turned off.
Yeah. That happened to me too. And I heard that they had like a whole like outage type
An
thing,
outage.
whatever
Oh,
that would be.
I did not get yours. Did
Let
you?
me, let me go back in here and make sure it did the thing.
Okay. I've had issues with logging into Venmo as well and to my bank accounts as well. It's was so creepy because last month when it happened, our bank did something, so we took all of our money out of that bank and now we just use it very sparingly. But I'm like, okay, crap, are all the banks gonna get attacked? It's
Yeah, like it makes you concerned. Okay, let me try again. I don't think it went. So
okay. Yeah, it's just Amelia Dash Lasky. Yeah,
there.
so perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Came through.
So maybe it was having an issue too.
Yeah, maybe it was. That's weird.
I don't know.
Okay, I will send you an invoice so you can use this as a business expense. You can use everything, your hotel, travel, all of that as business. Um and then what was I gonna say? Just the contract. That's all I need is before
Oh yeah. I'll do that right now. Like
yeah,
I had got home, chored and came in and was printing stuff off. So I'll do that now and then I'll send it to you.
problem. Yeah, no problem. I have to submit those when I submit your exams and sometimes I forget, so would just rather have it done. So I'm gonna send you the copy of this call. So if you feel like you need to go back and remember what I said, you'll get a copy of this call in the next half hour as soon as it's done uploading to YouTube. Um, is there anything else you can think of that you want me to cover or go over?
I I don't think so. Like I feel like I was literally talking to myself earlier, like, Robyn, you've done class for these two things 3 times. Like you can do all of these things.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I have any questions, and it's literally like reading. So I've been like reading and then rereading and reading before bed and like
Hmm. And let me
um
explain to you the rubric too, because it's a 1 through 10 scale or a 0 through 10 scale. So zeros, absolutely did not know it, failed it. And 10 is basically like perfection that I couldn't find anything an issue with. Um we were told not to give out 10s, but I tend to give some 10s because there's a lot of easy stuff that you can get a 10 for. But for the most part, 7, 8, 9, 10s are golden, and I only take off points if something is forgotten and not gone back over. A lot of times people will go do something, or they'll read through it and they might forget a part, or they'll stop reading and then they skip it and then they're like, "Oh, shoot, I skipped that. Let me go back." That's me not taking a point off. I'm not going to do that. Um if there is a point where I say, sometimes people I should ask you this. Would you, if you forget something and you've skipped over it, do you want me to let you know before you move on? And or do you want me to wait till the end and say, is there anything that you've forgotten? Like, do you want me to prompt you if you're missing something and get a -1 for like technically missing it? Or would you rather me just, you know, you remember it at the end?
um I feel like if I'm in a section that I'm moving from, it's fine if you prompt me.
Okay.
Because if I feel like if I'm like moving to the next thing, my focus is going to be on the next thing and I'm not going to be like
Yeah.
in that. So that's fine.
Okay. So then that's what I'll do. And for that, again, it's just a -1 because I had to prompt you on it. Now, if there's ever an instance where you don't know the technique, like you just say, I can't remember it, I don't know how to do it, then it's a -4 because that's you not being prepared. You had video and notes and everything. And then me having to show you is another point off. So if ever at any point in the first page, I think it's the first 10 questions, if you get a 5, if 4 fives or below, then we stop the exam and we just say you're not prepared. But it's unlikely because you're going to just read from the notes and you've been practicing it. Um it I can't say it never happens because it did happen one time, and I had to basically, ask the woman if she had ever, read through her handbook. And this is before I made these calls up, mandatory, because it was 2 hours away. My whole family was taken out, then I had to come back, and it was just a lot. So I wanted to prevent that. So, that's why we do these calls anyway. The other thing that I take off points for is usually -1 point if you do the technique and it's not perfectly from the notes. If there's issues with placement, it's usually a half point off. If there's issues with being too high, too low, did it too quickly, too aggressively, if it wasn't like finesse, those would
Mhm.
be like half point things off. So if you get sixes, sevens, eights, nines, tens, that, you're good. You're in the clear. And I make notes about everything on the exam. So if were tiny little things where I want you to tweak, you're going to have that information to tweak it. So this is a really practical exam where it's discretion based if you fail or not. And then for some of it, like, a person can be really good at all the techniques, but have terrible bedside manner and terrible coachability. I've had massage therapists who try and go through this and unfortunately just pretended like acted like they were a know-it-all and very rude and not nice to the person on the table. And I wrote all that in there in like the practical part. the discretion part, and I just said this person isn't really fit to do body work with this type of emotional level. Maybe good for massage, but not for for the emotional level needed for raindrop. And that's the kind of thing we're looking at too. So spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, like all of that goes into the exam. So just saying you're a very comfortable person to be around. You're gentle, you're loving, you're considerate. um, I'm honored that you want to take this and go do this, because I can't wait for you to bless all these people you're about to be blessing. So, just so you know, I have seen a lot of crazies come through the door, and I'm happy that you are through the door, because I'm so elated for you. So, yeah, I don't think you're
Thank
gonna,
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I said crazies because I shouldn't
it's
really,
okay.
but there's,
I know. Well, even just like our last class that I was at,
yeah,
there was a lot of things that occurred, and I'm not like, no shame to anybody, just like there was a lot happening
there was a
that
lot.
was outside of like the normal stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Always happens. One in every class, I swear. So,
I'm sure I have no doubt that it gets interesting.
spicy. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think,
no, I appreciate that. And I feel like that part of it doesn't bother me at all. Like the being with people and like caring for people, like that's
mhm.
like my normal nature. So I feel like that I'm okay with that part, and I want people to feel comfortable and feel better and all of that. So I just probably just need to get out of my own way a little bit.
Yeah. And honestly, take it easy too, because the more you obsess over it, the more it's gonna feel like a hardship. And you want this to be a blessed thing that you're doing. Like, what this does for people. You've walked through lots of journeys with people for this technique, and you know that it's good. So, and God brought you to this. So,
Yeah, and just I don't know if I told you or if I told Tracy that last week was last week. I was like kind of in my head. I was like, should I take this right now? Like, I don't know. And a girl at the gym asked me if I knew about raindrop because I was talking about an oil with somebody. And I was like, yeah, actually I do raindrop. And she
yeah,
was like, what? What? She's like, and she's a nurse practitioner. She's in ortho. Um,
wow.
but she was like, I'm so happy I know that now, because next time like that we have the stuff going through the house, I could come see you. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah. And then someone else, one of my clients or somebody just randomly asked me about it. And I was like, I'm
That's,
like, okay, I hear you. I'm gonna take the test. I'm gonna do
yeah,
the thing.
yeah. And honestly, your certification is going to go a lot faster, because you do not have to take the LSH course. You can, and I think it's vital for becoming a really good spiritual coach. Um,
Mhm.
but to become certified as a raindrop technique specialist, all you have to do is submit your massage license and submit the form and the fee. And that's basically overnight. You can become,
I'm check.
yeah.
Okay. And I think I do want to do the licensed spiritual healer part two, like also,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's good and that fits in. Like I am coaching people and all the things. So I just feel like it's all of like benefit. Like
Yeah.
it's all for the betterment of everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Randall's a really great person to take that with. You'll have to take both parts, the ethics with Terry and then the thing with Randall, but if you want to be licensed quicker, you can. Just letting you know.
Okay, for sure. And I probably will go ahead and do that. That way that's just done
Yep.
and I can continue on, but I want to do the other parts of it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good. What's something else I was gonna say? Oh, was the NP's name Amber by any chance?
No, her name's Taryn.
Okay, cool. So I know another NP, I think, in your area that's in ortho. Um, a lot of people, like, I have an upline that's in Fort Wayne area in that section, so I don't know any of them, but they all come to me for raindrop, which is nice. So I just am so grateful that it's spreading. I know you don't want to be a teacher, but I'm still just gonna put it out there that you could definitely teach this at one point and just be another little side thing.
Well, and maybe that will come once I'm through this part of it. Like, I'm not saying never, but that wasn't the idea around it. But I'm not saying that that wouldn't happen either.
Yeah, not right now. Get through one hurdle, and that's
Yeah.
why there's a certification process. You have another, long time before you have to do anything else. You still have time on the plate, and you honestly have so much going on too. You're busy, so don't let
Yeah.
it be. I'm glad you're busy because I know you moved. And then how's your new place that you're at?
Yeah, it's going really good. I still feel like I'm not home. Like it's not my home yet, but it's like a step to it. And I might have told you that I was considering remodeling our garage so that I can have my like practice at home, but
Yeah,
like on our property where like the horses are and like it's nature and like to have that setting. Cause even like right now, I can hear every semi truck that drives by and like every time the ambulance or the fire trucks go out. It's just very like not what you want in that setting. And I know like my clients are like, oh, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, but it does matter. Really, I know like you're okay with it, but you haven't experienced it differently than this. And I feel like it could be so much better.
yep, yeah. Yeah, when I switched from the busy place I was in where you could hear everything to because we lived right next to an EMS building, um,
Oh.
to the house that I'm in now, where it was my office, they're like, "It's so quiet. I can hear the birds just, outside the window, and it's like I'm in nature. I'm so comfortable." It's just such a different vibe, so you'll
Yeah,
find
and I
go ahead.
I really want that for my clients and for myself, like the because every time like I can feel myself every time I can hear like the semi Jake brake or the ambulance go by, I'm like, ugh. And so it like shifts my energy while I'm also like trying to be here doing this because it affects me, I guess, too. So I just
Yeah,
want my clients to have that. And then, like, I mean, big dream, like, I would love for people to be able to, like, stay, like, go lay in the hammock or,
mhm,
like, sit at a table, read a book. I don't know, work on your computer out here, like,
yeah,
where it's chill, like, take some time before you go running back into, like, all of the society stuff.
yeah. Oh, that would be awesome, and honestly, people are really looking for more of that immersive therapy. So if you had just weekend retreats or, whatever on your property with the horses, that's a really big thing right now is doing like equine circles and just horse healing. I mean, it's all over the PTSD circle that I'm in. So you
Yeah,
gotta
like, I would love to do all of that stuff.
yeah.
And I have clients all the time that ask. It's kind of like I'm being given the nudges and the like, hey, like go this way
Mhm.
because it's like what's naturally feels good for me, which means it will feel even better for the people who get to receive
Yeah.
like here. Like that energy is there. And I know how healing horses are. Like that's where I go when I have a like off day or even on my good days, I go out there. But when you're down, like when you can go out and be with them, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. And that's why you're so good for this too, because you know how it feels to feel better. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Okay. Well, I will be available anytime that you need, so just let me know. I told Tracy I have the whole afternoon marked off for Sunday. So basically from 12 to the evening. If you guys want to call me as soon as you're in town, checked in, they might be able to check you in early. Um, we can get started and get going as soon as you want, and I can arrive a little bit early while you're setting up or whatever. Um, I don't have to have a specific start and end time. My kids will be with my mom and with my husband, so I am just planning on being free and available, um, for whatever. So,
Okay. And then are we, just to clarify, are we doing one on Sunday and then one on Monday morning? Or are we gonna do them both Sunday?
we're gonna do one Sunday night and then one Monday morning. So,
Okay.
I've done them back to back before, but I tend to forget then if I don't write everything down, which takes a little bit longer for me, I tend to forget, little details that I really want to get in there so So, I have a new way that I do them now. I don't use my computer during the exam. I just go through, the notes, like, what I'll do is I'll have a printed out copy of each set of notes, your copy, and it'll have your name, it'll have the start and end time, and then every single thing on here, you'll see me, like, write a -1, or you'll see all the areas where There are things that were issues. You'll see me write notes that are good. So the notes will be like, okay, this is the section where I need to really go back to. And this has helped a lot of people because like the exam is just like 180 questions or something. So it's easier to see it in the note form than having to like pour through the exam to figure out what you need to go fix. Because if you do move on, I expect you to fix the stuff in here. And then when you come assist, if you were to do that, I would be able to know, okay, she did, get better in this area. So that's the point of that. So,
Okay,
but
that
anyways,
makes sense.
yeah. So, after the exam's done, you'll get an emailed copy of the exam with your grade, your pass fail. Usually I can tell right then and there if you're going to pass or fail, so I'll let you know. If there's any question, like I need to contact the caress committee just about like, I've had a few issues with some clients where they might only be ready to be a practitioner, not a teacher. So there's that kind of consideration too. But 95% of the time I can say that day that you've passed or failed. And then within 2 weeks, I'll have everything sent out to you. The exam, a final copy of the exam, and then the 2 copies of the notes, and you'll see everything and have it in hand. You won't get anything else from CARE. It'll just be my correspondence, but I will sign your handbook, and then that gives you the ability to copy that page and turn it into the certification company for
Okay.
so you won't get a certificate from CARE. Just so you know.
Okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for the payment. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, and just whenever you can get in that checklist, that'd be great. I'll send over these 2 documents and then the Zoom call. And like I said, reach out if you need me.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you, Amelia.
No problem. I'll see you Sunday.
Okay. Sounds good.
Have a great week.
You too.